Hi, in this episode of Foster Denovo Talks, we talk to Gracie, who is one of our shining stars here. She is a client relationship manager. And in this episode, we talk about her career path through the 4 years she's been with us at Foster Denovo.
The last year or so has been the most stressful, probably, period of my work life in Foster Denovo, but it's been the most rewarding at the same time. I've grown the most that I ever have within the company.
We talk about hybrid working, we talk about horses, believe it or not, and we talk about her career not wanting to be a financial advisor, but looking towards more of a managerial route.
Personally love hybrid working. I think it gives you a great work-life balance. I've had horses since I was around 11, 12 years old. I do truly believe I wouldn't have the time to have my horses if I was working full-time up London in the city. I've never been too passionate about specifically being an advisor or paraplanner route. I quite like the manager side of roles.
So make sure you check it out. Morning, Gracie. Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Yes, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. So Gracie, we've asked you on here to talk about your career, obviously at Foster Denovo. So tell us, how did you get into financial services?
My step into financial services was at my previous job, DST.
Mm-hmm.
I completed an apprenticeship there in investment operations, which I was very much on the other end of the call. I was answering the telephone for investment companies such as Janice Henderson, AJ Bell, answering the calls to the financial advisors, paraplanners, clients.
Okay. So you got used to dealing with the other side.
Yeah.
How was it though, you being on that side of it though? How was it like dealing with them?
That was very much an introduction.
Okay.
I didn't have any financial services knowledge before that. So that was the base knowledge that I learned throughout the apprenticeship, dealing with customers, clients over the phones. It was quite intimidating at first.
Did you get some stroppy advisors? Is
Yes.
that what we're saying?
Yes,
right, okay.
definitely.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah, but it was also a very good learning curve to get this foot in the door. It brought me to where I am now.
Okay. And so what was your reason for leaving there and then obviously joining Foster Denovo?
I wanted to take my career further. I see a lot of people, that was the natural progression. I see people leaving, going up to London. They was progressing very much.
Yeah.
So I started having a look around, see Foster Denovo, looked into the culture, what it involves. Obviously had a bit of a eye-opener in the first job that I had, dealing with financial advisors, and knew it was something I'd be interested in. Okay,
so hurrah, you joined Foster Denovo. So where did you start? What was the first role that you had with us?
So I started as a client experience administrator.
Okay.
Very base knowledge, first step into the door. I joined the team that I'm still in now, the Gary and Paul practice.
Okay, the Gary and Paul practice, that's not the official name of them, okay, but yeah.
No, but yeah, it was very entry level, dealing with entry-level things to begin with, LOAs, discovery work.
Yeah.
It was nice to be on the other end of the phone.
Okay.
Rather than answering the calls, answering all of the instructions that I was given, I was actually given the instructions over the phone.
Okay. So when did you actually join us then, Gracie?
I joined Foster Denovo back in 2021. This was still lockdown at the time, which was obviously quite a struggle. It's definitely a different way of learning. I've done all of my training over Zoom. I only met my team members via Zoom for the first few months. The first time I actually met anyone from Foster Denovo was at our summer party when everyone came out of lockdown.
Oh my goodness. So I do remember that summer party, and it was quite a weird one because there were so many people that had joined in lockdown that people didn't recognize each other, which was quite a bizarre experience, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the training in lockdown that you did, how did you find that, not meeting anyone and having to be constantly on the phone and on Teams and all of that sort of stuff?
It was quite nerving. It's quite intimidating. Obviously, I got my way through, but it was hard in the way that if you're in the office and you've got a quick question to ask someone, you can ask them in 2 seconds when they're sitting next to you. Whereas working from home, when you join a company during lockdown from home and having to message someone every time you've got a little question, even if it's a 2-second thing that they should be able to help you with, it's intimidating to message those people that you've never even met in person. You haven't really got that relationship with them, to then have to message them every 2 minutes. It was nerving, but we got through it.
Yeah, I can imagine, because as you say, when you're sat next to somebody in the office, it's really easy, isn't it? But when you don't have that relationship, it's quite a hard thing to do. So outside of work, I know that you obviously, ride horses and all that sort of stuff. So you had hybrid working, haven't you, for a long time? Because obviously you've only joined us since COVID. So tell us how that's worked for you and given you a work-life balance and all that sort of stuff.
That's right. I currently go into the office 2 times a week. I personally love hybrid working. I think it gives you a great work-life balance. I've had horses since I was around 11, 12 years old. I do truly believe I wouldn't have the time to have my horses if I was working full-time up London in the city. I wouldn't be getting home until 7 o'clock to then go down the stables and try and have my home life balance at the same time would be a real struggle. I also have 4 dogs at the same time.
Wow, okay.
So I'm now able, when I'm working from home, I can walk the dogs on my lunch break. I can take myself away from the screen. If it's a stressful day, I can take myself away, come back, and I feel like I do work a lot better having that balance.
Yeah, it gives you that space and that you can walk away from your desk and all that side of things, which is great. So you were in the CEA role. How long were you in that role for?
I was in that role for, I'd say, just under 2 years, maybe. Most of my progression has come in the last year and a half, I'd say. I've been here 4 years now this month and been promoted 3 times.
Goodness.
Twice within the last year and a half.
Okay, so talk us through that progression then. So you had the CEA role.
Yeah, and then I got promoted to client experience executive. This just gives you a little bit more, you need to have a bit more, what's the word?
Client contact, probably, I think.
Yeah. So we have a little bit more client contact. We also have more contact with the advisors that you work for, because when you're a client experience administrator, you'll more go towards your manager or one of the admin team to help you out. But you do get more contact with your advisors, which I definitely think does help in the work life. But so client experience executive.
Yeah. What happens after that? What's the next step?
Senior client experience executive. This, you have a lot more responsibility. Client contact is a big thing of your role. You're dealing with all of the transactions that the clients want to do. You could be the client's main point of contact.
Okay.
Gary and Paul, they love their holidays. So they could be on holiday and I'm their point of call. But that's when it really, client relationship manager is when you are the point of call.
So that was one of your latest roles, the client relationship manager, where I assume sort of everything comes into you, doesn't it? And then you're the one that sends that out to the team and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Okay. And did you enjoy the client contact side?
Yeah. So I've always enjoyed the client contact side. It makes things a lot more real to know that you're actually helping someone and dealing with what they want help with. Client relationship manager, I definitely struggled to begin with dishing out the work, taking on that responsibility. That's something that I did learn over time, of actually, I felt bad with giving out the workload. I know how stressful it can be when you've got a lot on your plate. The last year or so has been the most stressful probably period of my work life in Foster Denovo, but it's been the most rewarding at the same time. I've grown the most that I ever have within the company.
Because you sort of went from client relationship manager very quickly into effectively practice manager, which is what you are now. And as you said, and I love this expression, dishing out the work, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? What are you doing with the team then?
So last May, my manager went on maternity leave,
Yeah.
which was a big change, the biggest change we've dealt with in the Gary and Paul team. She took on a lot of the workload, which I can't fault her for. I now understand it because
You've seen it, you've done it yourself, right?
sometimes it is easier to keep hold of the work and know that it's getting done efficiently and when you need it to, because you are the point of call for the advisors that you work for.
You're the one now, as you said, it dishing out the work to everyone, and you found that hard. Why did you find it so hard?
Because it is stressful having a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
I in the last year, as I said, when my manager went on maternity leave, I had to pick up a lot of stuff that I'd never even seen before. Okay. So it was a lot to begin with, but you have to do it. Work has to get done at the end of the day. You have a lot. I had so much support from Foster Denovo that at some points I feel like, how am I going to do this? But honestly, the support and people telling you, you've done it before. You've got your way up from coming from client experience administrator. Yeah. I remember being stressed moving up to client experience executive, but you do it. You learn it. Yeah. It's all new things to learn. And now I feel like I have got the team in such a position where we all know what we're doing. We all know the job. I log on at 8 o'clock in the morning. I dish out the work, as I say. Yeah. So everyone's got their tasks for the day. So everyone's set out. Whereas before, that was a bit of a struggle because it does get busy sometimes. It does get stressful.
Tax year end, you say?
Yes, tax year end. We're in and amongst it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we have the busy periods, but I definitely work better when I'm busy.
Okay.
100%.
I think quite a lot of people work that way, doesn't it? It can take me 2 hours to do something when I'm not busy, and I can do it in 15 minutes when I'm busy, because you just know that you need to get stuff done, don't you? So you've taken on new team members as well, and obviously we work in a hybrid scenario here. So how have you felt training people and developing them when you're only in 2 days, they're only in 2 or 3? How's that been?
So I have arranged with my team. We all come in on a Tuesday. This was when we was going through a lot of changes within the team. We've had people leave the team, people join the team. We've now got a new advisor within the team. So there's lots of changes.
Joining tomorrow, I
think. So we've had a lot of changes going through. So I think as much as the hybrid working does work, it helps out in a lot of ways. You do also need the social contact and to have that relationship with people that you work with. I was close with my old manager, and I think having the relationship with your manager is very important to be able to so that's why we do the Tuesdays in the office. We have an admin catch up away from the advisors, so we can actually voice how we feel, how we think things are going. If anything needs to change, we make that change so that everyone's happy. I think happiness is key. As cringy as it sounds, it really is key within the work life.
Yeah. I mean, you guys it's one of the most successful practices that we've got here, and it's insanely busy, which is obviously why they've taken on a new advisor and they've taken on new admin staff and all the rest of it. So I think trying to keep that work-life balance and happiness, as you say, is absolutely paramount, because you guys are under quite a lot of pressure.
Definitely. Bearing in mind it was my first month in the client relationship manager role in January. It was quite stressful. I was taking on a lot of tasks that I'd never done before. So I was learning, as well as it was probably one of our most stressful months. It was the last month of the practice buyout for Gary and Paul. And we actually managed to hit the highest target ever for Gary and Paul in that month, which was just shy of £270,000.
In the month?
In the month of January.
Yeah. Let's just absorb that piece of information. That took a lot out of the team. You all went out for a nice big jolly afterwards. Okay, fantastic. And how do you see it working with the new advisor? Because obviously it's been you guys and Gary and Paul, as you said, for quite a few years now. So how do you think that's going to work?
I feel like we're in a very good position now to handle another change. We've all been through enough changes within the last few years. That I definitely think we're in the position now to be able to handle it. Gary and Paul are giving some of their clients to this new advisor, so it's not it shouldn't technically be too much more work, as it's not.
She says with a slightly nervous face.
Yes, we shall see how it goes. But no, I think we're in a very good position. I think the team is working really well together. We all handle anything that comes in. So I think we are in a great position to be able to deal with this next change.
No, I think so. And whenever I discuss, teams and practices that we've got in Foster Denovo, it's a bit of an example of how to run a really efficient, slick team that does, quite a lot of revenue at the same time without it. So it's always been a bit of a shining example. So that's brilliant. Obviously, you've still got the practice manager role, but what does the future hold? What do we think?
So as you say, practice manager role, I feel like that's too close to say that that's what I'm looking for. It's sort of in line already. I'm doing the role alongside the client relationship manager role. So I just want to keep progressing. I've never been too passionate about specifically being an advisor or power planner route. I quite like the manager side of roles. I like being able to be in control of the team, in control of what's going on. I think just build further and further as I go on. I think it's very nice within Foster Denovo that we're in and amongst the higher people. So we've very much got the opportunity to speak to people like yourself, Helen, Roger, to see how they landed in them roles. I would be very interested in doing that.
Yeah, and I think, it's okay, because when we talked about this before, you said, I don't think I really want to be an advisor, and that's okay. And in fact, there's so many people that come into wealth management and go, I want to be an advisor. Yeah. But they forget that there's lots of other routes. You've got the managerial route, which is what you've done. You've got a technical route. And then you've got the advisory route. And a wealth management firm needs all of those for it to function. If Gary and Paul didn't have you guys in there, good Lord.
We have learned that the team builds everything. You can't work from the top without it working from the bottom. Every part of the team makes it structure. It really does. And we've learned that.
It absolutely does. And you can see it, and it works like a brilliant team. Well, listen, Gracie, that has been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll probably see you upstairs.
Yes.